is the Vintage RPG Podcast, your source for the best in classic and contemporary RPGs. With your hosts, Hambone and Stu.
Welcome to Vintage RPG Podcast, coming at you again from the clubhouse hidden somewhere in the swamps of New Jersey. I'm John Hambone McGuire, and with me, as always, is the founder and publisher of Unwinnable. The last time he wanted to talk about the end times, he couldn't fit all the words on the sandwich board. Stu Horvath.
There was actually a moment last year. I don't know, actually, why didn't we do it? MIT Press gets a booth at Gen Con, and I really wanted to sell out all the books.
Of course.
And I threatened to do that, to have like a placard and like get a bathrobe and just wander the show floor telling people that like they had to buy MIT books. But I didn't do it. And now I'm wondering why. I'll have to ask my editor.
Yeah, I mean, like, you probably could have even gotten the bathroom at the hotel.
The thing is that we didn't need to sell books. I think they had maybe, I don't know, 15 books left at the end of the show. So we did all right.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's, you know.
Maybe we're bringing more books this year, so maybe I'll get the sandwich board out.
All right, but this year, how are you getting there?
So I just bought my plane tickets yesterday, actually. I can't handle the fact that like every year it sneaks up on me now that like I have to worry about what I'm doing in August, in February, and it really is not ideal. This year I just bit the bullet and I'm flying. Although the more I think about it, the first time I went out when that whole disaster started, I'm pretty sure that I flew out first class because first class wound up being cheaper than my economy tickets would be. I have a memory of that happening for something, and the only thing that I can think of is that it happened for Gen Con. And then, you know, my first flight out was delayed, and then my flight back was canceled, and then the bus and whatever. But it's happening again. I went to buy the tickets, and it's like $400 round trip economy, and then first class was like $520 round trip, and I was like, wait, what? Because checked baggage is free with first class, but it's $80 for an economy ticket. So it's like, I'm going to be paying $500 anyway. Like, what?
Yeah, for an extra 20, might as well have the legroom and the free champagne. Right.
I mean, it doesn't wind up to be an extra 20. It winds up being a little bit more, but still, I'm paying $300 both ways. Like, that's not bad. But now I'm worried that that it's starting again, like Twin Peaks. Like I feel like I finished the loop last year when I got on that Spirit plane at the same time at the same place, and like that it was the same thing. And then I finally got on the plane to get out of Indianapolis. But now I'm taking a plane back into Indianapolis, and I think that maybe this is Twin Peaks season 3.
It might be, and I'll tell you, it's
a lot of people die in that. So just
let's hope not. Jesus Christ, why would you even put that in the universe, man?
I'm just saying, I don't want to be one of the bit characters that like you see for 5 minutes, and you're like, you look at him, and it's like 20 years later, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that character. Then suddenly they're dead. And you're like, oh damn, you know.
Yeah, I will tell you, like, I don't know why, but like last time I went to Gen Con, it was the same thing where it was like. It worked out to be like $100 more, and I got first class round trip. And I was like, well, I'm not, especially with my back. I was like, okay, I'd never flown first class before, so I was like, I got to pay to see it at least once. And like, man, I tell you, it is a completely different flying experience when you're in first class. You have so much more space. The seats are more comfy. You got leg room. First chance you have to do sky crime, they bring you some beer if you want it. It was like, I think me and George flew out like, I don't know, we flew out like almost like 9 a.m, and like by like 9:30, like I had a beer in my hand and a snack in first class, and like they got really good snacks up there. So yeah, if you can afford to do it at least once in your life, it is worth it, even on like a shorter trip to Indianapolis. But yeah, it's the only place I've ever gone where like, I guess nobody goes there, like no, you know, on a regular basis. So I flew out of Newark, which is more expensive than JFK at this point. And it was like, yeah.
So I have a couple theories that I'm sure our listeners are deeply interested in.
Sure.
I think that they know that there's a lot of air traffic going into and out of Indianapolis that weekend. But I think that everybody's flying economy. And when I selected my seats, the entire plane was sold out except for first class. So I think that they have like that algorithm thing going, and it's just like the price never, like they really want to sell those because even if they sell them cheaper than usual, they want to make some kind of profit. An empty seat doesn't make them any money. So
no, certainly not.
you're only going to find this on relatively short flight during a time when there's an event where everybody's buying up the cheaper seats. I've talked my way into first class on coast to coast flights a couple times. That was pretty sweet, but I would never be able to afford them ahead of time. Like that was like a being nice to the people at the airport and like schmoozing my way in for like a discounted first class seat at the end of like a business trip kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's good eats if you can get it. I don't know if I would be able to do that anymore. Like I had a gift of gab doing the video game conferences that I don't know if I have it anymore. I think I'm just tired. I'm too tired to like try it. Like please, like I just want to get home. So like I like as long as I'm not on a bus, like first class, whatever it is, I don't care. Like just get me home.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it just hits a point where you're like, I don't want to be anywhere but my house right now. So please, just let me be in my house right now. You know?
Yeah. At the risk of boring our listeners even further, Joe Goodman invited me out to Dungeon Con 2, which
fun.
It takes place at there's a big sale at the Goodman Warehouse in May, which is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I get to go to Indiana twice this year.
Hot damn, must be nice. Indiana twice.
So I'm looking for flights for that, and it's nice because like this is a little bit taken care of, so I don't have to like worry about money. But so I'm looking for flights. There's no direct flights from Newark to Fort Wayne, which I guess is not super surprising. Fort Wayne
no,
is
not
sort
at
of
all.
like a little town, but they all have a stop. They all have a layover in Orlando, which I think is absolutely preposterous. You're going to go 2 hours to Orlando, then 2 hours from Orlando to Fort Wayne, instead of just flying the 2 hours direct to like, why don't you just lay over like Cleveland or something? Like, I know the hub system and stuff, and there's probably like high level logistics, but I think that is also like a lie. Like, I don't understand any system that wants me to go to Orlando before and that was when I was trying to get home last year after the train failed me, and I was looking for flights out of Indianapolis that morning. Later flights were all going to Orlando before going to Newark, except for this one Spirit flight, which was direct. So yeah, looking at it on paper right now, the cheapest, fastest way for me to get to Fort Wayne from here is to take a flight from Newark to Indianapolis, rent a car, drive 2 hours north to Fort Wayne. And it's just like, part of me is just like, this is like the stupidest possible way to travel. But part of me is also like, that's kind of like the appeal. Like I almost hope that I don't find a better solution, because like I just want to be like everything about traveling in Indiana is dumb, and I don't want it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess the way I will try to sell it to you is, if you do that, then you don't have to set foot in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, there's benefits every which way.
Yeah, there's no meth gators in Indiana. But I digress. So the end times.
Yeah, role-playing podcast, right?
Something like that.
This isn't even a role-playing game, but it is role-playing game-like. I was really surprised at how immediately I was just like, oh, this is giving me such warm, fuzzy role-playing game vibes in a way that was hard to express. So, the End Times is a monthly newspaper that's the idea, the brainchild of one Benjamin Percy. I don't know who that is. He seems to be a horror writer. He also has a long list of comic credits. I kind of love the world a little bit, because there's always just a new person out there. Like, I've just never, like, guy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 novels and credits on a whole bunch of comic books, and I've never heard of the guy. And I like how that happens. The world keeps giving new people to me.
Love that.
So the idea, and it is the reason that some people are really excited about this is because one of the collaborators working on it is some guy named Stephen King.
Ooh, wait, no, wait, hold on a second. Stephen King or Stephen King?
Stephen King, like the one guy, the guy,
The guy. Okay.
not the poor role playing artist named Stephen King who was working in the 90s. It's just like, well, I'm never going to find anything else out about you except that
Yeah.
you painted a cover for Dragon magazine once. No, this is the real deal, Stephen King. They apparently know each other, and when Percy started kind of really bringing the project together, he was like, "Do you want to do anything with this?" And King was like, "Yes." There's a couple reasons for why I think King was attracted to the project. The core idea here is that it is a newspaper that is begun by a woman in what used to be North End, Minnesota, somewhere in the Midwest. I think it's Minnesota. It's close to the Twin Cities, but I'm not sure where. Even though I just read it last night, I've lost track of whether North End is supposed to be in Minnesota. I think it is. And it's 12 years after a global pandemic killed 99% of the human population. So it's post-apocalyptic, but it's not like The Road. It's more like that TV series that I had a hard time watching based on a book, Station 11.
Okay.
There's still a community. People haven't turned it. It's not like The Walking Dead where everybody's an asshole, right? When you start reading it, there's an immediate sense of community. That there's still people living and doing things and working. There is a struggle to survive and adapt to new situations and circumstances. Like you don't have electricity. How are we going to eat? Like a reconfiguration of priorities has happened, but
Yeah.
it doesn't sound catastrophic. I mean, like a lot of people died, but like we haven't turned into Mad Max.
Yeah. Which is the way we always assume it's going to go.
Well, I mean, pop culture tells us that, but in my heart of hearts, I really, I look at what's going on in Minnesota and the way that community is taking care of each other.
Yeah.
And it validates what I've always felt about fiction like The Walking Dead or The Road or all these pessimistic post-apocalypses. And I've always felt like they don't ring true because I feel like at the end of the day, people do want to take care of each other. And things would be different and things would be hard, but things would ultimately be all right. And I think that there's signs that if you look at the world, I think that part of the problem with post-apocalypse through the pessimistic lens is that, what is it, the Nancy cartoon where she's like, rest in peace to all the people who died, who were smote by the gods.
Yep.
And it's like, that sucks, but, I'm different. Maybe even better than the gods,
Yeah.
I feel like that hubris, that rugged individualism is a thing that I'm built different. I would survive in the end times. And it's like, bud, maybe you would, but probably you wouldn't, it's like,
Yeah. That's
like everybody wants to feel like they're the survivor, but it's like I remember when that submarine exploded. There was some guy or imploded. There was some guy I think he was serious, and he was just like, I don't know, man. I think I would have figured out a way to survive, and it's just like you would have, really. Okay, like. So anyway, this isn't like that. It is very much there. There is a sense of community and of cycles of life. That's immediately apparent, and it's really appealing. So the things that I think attracted King were, of course, the idea of there's obvious parallels to The Stand, right?
yeah, of course.
But I think there's also a lot of, I don't know if people remember, but The Green Mile, he did The Green Mile initially as a serial, and it was a very interesting experimental form at the time for him to be putting out these, like, I don't know, they were like, each chapter was like a little self-contained publication, and a new one came out every month until the book was over, in like the mode of Dickens, who did it that way. So there were all these like little ones, and then finally, like, there was like the collected edition, and that was just, books weren't made like that then. And I think that a project like this is just those two things would, I makes it understandable why King would be interested in contributing. But of course, there's something else going on.
Right.
The first issue, I wouldn't call them mysterious happenings, but there's just stuff that's not explained that happens that's reported in the newspaper. But the forward part of the story is this woman has decided to use the printing press, the local printing press in this town, to do this thing. And it's partly an exercise in community and spreading news, but it's also partly like a way for her to feel useful and come to terms with some things that she's struggling with. Like personal story in the front, and then like in the backdrop, you can already see in the first issue that there's these things that are percolating that are going to become like the horror story or whatever that's going to happen.
Right.
And by the third issue, I have 3 issues now. The fourth one is in the mail. They are mailed. They are printed on newsprint on a tabloid sheet, and it's great. And they just show up in the mailbox as a newspaper, and I love it.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yes, and it reminds me very much of Wednesday Comics. Do you remember those from DC, which was an actual like newspaper comic book?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Like there's something cool about newsprint. There's something cool about the way that this story is exploded out amongst a whole bunch of people doing a whole bunch of things. And a lot of it's like a community calendar kind of thing. Like they're talking about the Fall Fest and the guy who built the clock, and it's a sundial, and that they're repairing the town hall clock and its chimes and stuff. What's going on up at the farm? There's a really good recipe for pickles. There's also guidance on how to make applesauce. And like,
oh, I love that.
And a how-to on how to split wood, and like all of that stuff is real, so it just feels like it resonates on a cool level. And of course, by the third issue, there's something happening. It's clear. It's like, okay, here's the plot, and it's starting here. And I was really excited. I read 3 in a go, and I'm like, oh man, I want the 4th one. Like, where is it? I gotta wait. And there's only going to be 12. It's available for.
Okay.
A subscription. There's only 500 physical subscribers is the max. I don't think they've hit it yet because there's still a little button. Let me push the button, see if I can order another one. No, it is down. So you can no longer apparently get a physical subscription, but you can still sign up for the digital one. And I'll double check that when we go live to make sure that the physical subscription is still offline. If it isn't, and I was mistaken, there will be a link to it in the show notes. But how does this connect to role-playing games? It immediately reminded me of the Lovecraft Country books, Keith Herber's Arkham source book that came out in like 91, 92.
Right.
He was detailing a community, even though he's doing it in like house by house and presenting this whole town filled with plot hooks. There's something similar here. This isn't as formally, source booky, but branches of the same tree.
Right.
And that Arkham book had a copy of the Arkham newspaper in it, in the back. It was a pullout. And it's great. And when they reissued it a couple years ago, it had a newspaper tucked in the back. And a newspaper for a game like Call of Cthulhu it's such a wonderfully tactile world building thing. Yeah. I love that newspaper. I love both those newspapers. It's great. And because Call of Cthulhu is such an investigatory game, so many of the games rely on newspaper clipping handouts. So I feel like by looking through the end times and reading it, it's one big handout that I'm looking for the clues in, and so I'm playing this story as much as I am reading it.
That's awesome.
The post-apocalyptic thing feels very, very much inspired by The Quiet Year, which is a collaborative map-making game where everybody kind of it's the quiet year after the really bad stuff has happened in the apocalypse. So it's like an exercise in building community after the bad thing and rebuilding. If you told me that Benjamin Percy made this community through a session of A Quiet Year, I would be completely unsurprised. It feels so much like it's the second thing. I would have thought of it first if I didn't have strong memories about the Arkham book. Arkham Unveiled is what it's called. And then I'll let you talk.
Yeah, I'm loving this. Keep going.
The first issue has a giant map. It's so good. Like I was sort of like when it showed up, I was sort of like, what am I getting myself into? I used to get like stuff in the mail as a kid, and for like part of it was just like, oh, is this like highlights like for adults? Like what did I do? But then I opened it and I was like, oh, there's a map. A map, and it's so good. And then the third issue has another map of the spot where the bad thing happened. I think it's I didn't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's a map of the village where the bad thing happened, and it's great. And it's just like holy. It's good. I love a map. A map really. Really, there's no reason to print a map in the newspaper too. Like, how often do you see a map in the news? Well, how often do you see a newspaper anymore? They stopped the Star Ledger.
Dude, I don't even know. Like it's like ever since they stopped, like it's one of those things that like, and forgive me for cutting you off, but it's one of those things that like you just don't think would ever happen.
Yeah.
You know, like in my lifetime, like I never thought like that paper would ever stop printing. You know,
Right.
because it's been an institution. I mean, I'm on this planet 46, coming on 47 years. It's always been there. Like the newspaper's always been there, and I know times change, but I was like, are there subscriptions down like so low that they're like, we don't gotta, we can't print this anymore?
I mean, I don't. Basically,
You know, and it's crazy too because I used to see like in the supermarket, you used to see stacks and stacks of like newspapers. Now, like whenever I go, because there's always that like newspaper stack that's like kind of like in between the one door and the service desk. It's just or under the service desk. It's just there if you want to buy your newspapers.
right.
But like, dude, like every time I go down, no matter what hour I go, that stack is shorter and shorter year over year. So
It's sad.
it's wild. I mean, and print media is dead in certain terms, but here we are talking about like zines and RPGs and stuff like that, where like it's still going. It's just so easy to get your news everywhere else.
Yeah. Well, I think that we're changing again. I think that physical media is coming back.
Oh, in a big way.
I run into so many kids who are like my niece is very much not online. There's just like a lot of one of Daisy's friends' kids is like not on social media. Like our friend Zach's kid is like repairing Walkmen and like selling them to people because they want to listen to tapes. Everything kind of like I think that people are kind of finally getting wise to the endless pursuit of new tech.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff just works better.
Well, and it's yours.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's I saw a post recently that was like the friction about tech. And it's just like you think about the lack of friction in old tech. Like your record player, you have
Yeah.
a record that you own and then you put it on the record player and then it plays. Maybe your belt breaks or you have to replace the stylus, but like you don't have to like subscribe. You could just like play the music. There's no ads, like it's there's so many things that have become like built into the experience, the thing that I'm trying to do that are stopping me from doing the thing that I want to do or
Yeah.
making me pay incrementally for it in modern technology, especially digital technology. It's extremely frustrating. So I think that things like the end times that are pulling themselves out of the digital purgatory and becoming physical objects of the world are increasingly valuable and viable. This is a
I agree.
fantastic product. It's only 12 issues. I don't even remember what the subscription is, because I paid for it in December, but it wasn't much. And it's a cool experience. And I feel like anybody who likes role playing games will pick it up and will be tickled by it. I hit up my buddy Oren, who was just like, not my thing. I don't like post apocalyptic stuff. And I was like, yeah, I get that. And when I found out that it was a post apocalyptic thing, I was just like, do I want to read that? But I bit anyway because of the newspaper factor.
Yeah, of
And
course.
the newspaper factor really does carry it in a lot of ways. And I was just surprised. Another thing about it is that's cool is that I don't know if there's multiple writers writing this who have never written before, or if it's an effect that the writers like Percy or King or whoever's doing it. There's no clear credits of the thing, which is another cool thing.
Really?
Yeah. So like I don't know. I mean, so it removes me knowing. So like I buy the characters more, but there's a lot of the people who are writing for Mary, the character, aren't writers. So they have it reads a little bit like naive people writing for the first time. I have some experience with this with Unwinnable. Like,
Right.
I think everybody should write, and I think everybody has at least a couple stories in them. And you can tell that I feel like there's an intention to make people sound like that. Like this is them writing their first story. And that's cool. It makes it real. It's been really, really fun. I read them all in one go last night, and I had to talk about them. So,
Dude, I love that. I mean, when you get to that spot where like it just hits right, yeah. Like, I think it's a cool. It's cool. Like it's nice to have that thing catch you because not everything always catches you. You know, like where you're like, yeah, I can't put this down, and maybe you don't even know why, but like being excited to read something is always awesome. The other thing is, I think too, to the point of like naive, esque writers try to write the first thing. Man, it's really hard to go back once you've been doing anything for a while. I think the spirit of like, say, even like making music is like that first album, that first everything that you're doing is like, I just learned how to do this, and this is what it sounds like, but I put my whole ass heart into it.
yeah.
And then you become more proficient at it. You're like, well, I'm putting my whole ass heart into it, but like my fingers know how to work now. And like I know what a gerund is. Like it's hard to kind of to go back to that first thing. So I think that's such a cool and impressive thing to be able to bear witness to something like that. So I also think it's cool that they do like you have a limited run, and it's not I don't think, and again I'm making a presumption here. I don't think it's to like exclude people, but I think it's a cool thing to do now when you hit a point where you're like, man, like people really need to know that like this isn't just something that's just going to be around. Like, get in or you're going to miss it. And I think that's kind of smart nowadays, to be honest. Yeah, man, I think it's really cool because it builds urgency, because I think to a point where you just have things like, essentially in toy lingo, warming the peg. And I think it's a much better thing to have art actually actively being enjoyed. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so before we go home on this episode, for your little ham bones Kickstarter corner, which I still don't love the name, by the way, but we're going to go with it. It is Zine Month. It's Zemo if you're nasty. Zine Quest if you're on Kickstarter. A lot of cool indie creators are out there doing the thing. It's February. So Yamil, my buddy, whose name I constantly pronounce wrong, like Ymir, like he's a frost giant. We record these things early. I'm not fully here and present yet, as far as my mouth working or my brain, by that matter. But coming to you the day after this episode airs on Kickstarter, Tales from the Tape Deck, a music-focused RPG. It's a tabletop role-playing game that fits in a cassette tape case, talking about physical media. Each volume contains a new setting, character options, and rules, and I think it's such a cool thing. My friend Ben at Don't Tell Mom and Dad did something similar. They did a supplement for Don't Tell Mom and Dad that it was a soundtrack, and it was also a playable game that fit into the world of Don't Tell Mom and Dad. So I think this is pretty cool too, because I love little small things. I like things that fit in your pocket. This is something that I think is going to be great to kind of pull out in restaurants, airports, at your buddy's house. You're not going to have to throw out your back carrying like 19 books, but it's a pretty cool concept. It's by Yamil and Ahmed Sufti of Sufti Games, and two totally sweet dudes, two people who are so passionate about the things that they make, and I'm really excited for this one. Obviously I'm not going to go out and get a Walkman, but I am ready to support this, and I love rock and roll, and anything that puts more music in the world and more playable RPGs and more art is fine by your old buddy HB.
And look, if somebody mistakes my name, I'm gonna get called Steve. It's like at least like you're mistaking the guy for a frost giant who the world was created out of.
I know, and he's such a wonderful, cool dude. And like hours after I will have like any kind of caffeinated beverage, I will get it right all the time. But at this point in this juncture. Not today, Satan. But this has been another amazing episode of the Vintage RPG Podcast. Stu, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at vintagerpg.com. So I actually have a list already for a good quarter of 2027 posts.
Jesus.
The earliest I've ever thought about 2020, like the next year. I've never, ever thought about it in February. But that's just how committed I am to bringing you good stuff and squeezing more writing into my busy schedule. So if you have any suggestions about what you'd like to see, now is the time to get to the way I don't like to think about Gen Con in February. Now you have to think about 2027 in February. Sorry.
So, as a writer, knowing the sheer volume of words you have to write for these posts, knowing the sheer volume of words you're going to write for the books you're working on this year, at what point does your brain become like Babel?
Oh, I mean,
where you're like, I can't fly. I have no more words.
It doesn't. I've done it so long, and I've forged a machine for producing words. I'm lucky that I don't suffer from any kind of block anymore. Like right. I could just sit down and rip. I will admit that the thing that I'm working on, I'm having a difficult time writing the thing that I'm working on now. That I can't tell you what it is yet because it's not like contracted. It's a pitch. I'm having a difficult time with that because I'm essentially taking monsters, aliens, and holes in the ground and trying to condense it down into a much smaller form.
Good luck.
And there's a mental editing process that is difficult. Plus, I'm a little bit bored of talking about. I already wrote that book, so like I'm retreading ground I've already been down. So that is complicating it, but the actual writing is never an issue for me. That's why I could just sit down and in 2 months crank out 60,000 words of posts. Because and people get really angry. Like when people find out that I wrote Monsters, Aliens, and Holes in the Ground in 6 months, they're like, what? Like, fuck you? Like, and it's just like sometimes you just gotta. You didn't write all of that at one go. You're writing 1,000 words or 2,000 words a day, and it just like sometimes like I will admit when I was working on the monster book, there was one day where I got close to 10,000 words in one day, and that made me a little weird. Just because it was just like I was just for whatever reason like it all gelled, and I was just like, if I keep this up, I can be done with the book in 4 days. And it was just like, but there's no way that you can keep that pace up.
Not without cocaine.
Yeah. No, oh man, those guys who used to do amphetamines like Faulkner and like, come on, man, like that was such an unfair advantage.
Cheating. It's like
if I could get pharmaceutical grade amphetamines, I would be unstoppable.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'd have all 5 books written last year. It would have been so good because like I'm working on a schedule that I set for myself several years ago. So like, oh god, that would have been amazing.
You might end up in like a grippy sock vacation, but you know what, man? You'd be set.
Yeah.
You can find me across the internet at John McGuire RPG. I'm actually been posting about my mailing list for Ham and Egg Publishing. Just trying to shore up people because I know people kind of come and go from social media, but mailing lists will last until you unsubscribe. So it's going to be a mailing list newsletter. Things are going on with Ham and Egg Publishing. Things that we're getting up to ourselves. And we're not going to bog you down with a ton of updates. But if you go to any of my social medias, you see a link from a mailing list, please consider signing up for it. I would really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Because we are trying to build things and foundations for our company and our world that are ours. As we talked about in this episode, physical again. We're bringing it back, baby. Yeah. Also, analogunion.com. You can sign up there for, it's another mailing list, but it's great because it's Arcane Sword Press. It is Ham and Egg Publishing. It's Get Haunted Industries. It's Solarian Games, Super Savage Games, Salt Heart RPG, Severed Books, a lot of S's. Now that I say it all out loud, we got Tiger Wizard on there as well, and Stillfleet. Wow, another S. But it's a group of RPG creators, and we're constantly turning you on to do some new stuff. It's an off ramp from social media and a great way to stay in touch with what's going on in the hobby, but not having to go on and kind of looking at posts all day. It's something easy to read. There's articles from Brian from Arcane Sword Press is doing a just history and reviews of different types of magazines. Like this week was Dungeon Magazine, I think is what he did in the newsletter this week. So I'm doing some interviews with people. We're not just trying to sell you some stuff. AnalogUnion.com. Very, very cool things happening over there. If you like the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Your reviews really do help other listeners to find us. If you really like the show, become a patron. Patreon.com/vintagerepg for as little as $1 a month. You get the episodes early, sometime between Friday and Sunday, depending on how late in the week we record them. We got some great things to do offline, including games and watch-alongs. We've got a killer Discord community that's right now a very nice oasis from the world outside. We'd love for you to be a part of it. Patreon.com/vintagerepg. So for Stu Horvath, I'm John Hambone McGuire. May the dice always roll in your favor.
Thanks for listening. The Vintage RPG Podcast is a ham-fisted production. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Schaefer Brown. Edited by R. Alex Murray. Check us out at vintagerepg.com.